So, Maggie, what made you decide that this was a path that you wanted to take?
Well, I guess I went to school for ecosystem management. Before that, I was somewhat of an environmental activist. I always believed in climate change and um, so on. But in my studies, I took a deeper look into the science behind climate change and just found that a lot of it didn't add up. And I didn't like that scientists with other information were being excluded from the United Nations conferences way back in the early 2000s and just started to see that pattern. So I questioned it, did a lot of studying, like I said, into the science. And then when I moved out to British Columbia, one of the first things I saw advertised in the paper was regarding public consultation into the official plan for the community, the 2050 vision. And I read through that and I just saw that it was based on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and Sustainable Development Scheme, which essentially redirects population growth away from small towns and rural areas and into high density urban areas. And I realized at that time that the global agenda was being implemented locally. I just didn't realize that we could effectively push back if we start to understand the civic engagement strategies we can use at the local level. And it was after the Freedom Convoy where, people came from all across the country to have our voices heard. And we had several years where we tried to petition, we tried to call, we tried to write letters, and our voices just were not being heard. And you would think a large protest like what was seen in Ottawa would at least result in some dialogue with our elected representatives, and it didn't. They essentially told us to go home. And in a country as big as Canada, we have to find another strategy if we're going to tackle this global agenda. And I'm, in a sense, pleased to find out that for the most part, it's being implemented at the local level where we can get to our local councils in 10, 20 minutes. We can get on the agenda and speak to these issues and we can make recommendations and push back in a professional way, which is something that I think Canadians could be pretty good at, and we're proving to do well at that. So, yeah, I think, when they told us to go home, that was kind of when my wheels started turning about what is the next step. And KICLEI came out of that.